Hello everyone, and welcome to my final presentation. Today I will be discussing the cognitive reading strategy known as SQ3R, which stands for Survey, Question, Read, Recite, and Review. Rather than passively scanning words on a page, SQ3R is a highly structured, active engagement strategy. It works by breaking reading down into 5 deliberate steps. First is Survey. You do this by previewing the headings to get an idea of what each section of the reading is about. Second, you question the reading by turning those headings into questions themselves. This makes you think and question ahead of time the content you are about to read. Third, you actually do the reading. But once you find the answer to the question you are looking for, you must move on immediately to the next section. Fourth, you recite the answer that you found out loud to help yourself retain the knowledge. And finally, you review everything you learned from the whole reading after reaching the end to cement the topics. To understand why SQ3R is so effective, we have to look at cognitive science. According to research by Rayner et al., 2016, there is a fundamental trade-off between reading speed and reading accuracy. When we rush through complex material, our eyes physically move faster than our brains can process what is in front of us. This completely breaks down our comprehension of what we are trying to learn. But what SQ3R does is it forces us to change our processing speed to match the difficulty of the text. Furthermore, you et al. 2015 found that deeper cognitive processing happens when we are forced to actively select and evaluate information rather than just letting our eyes glaze over the words. The question and recite steps in SQ3R perfectly trigger this deep semantic encoding. This quarter, I decided to apply SQ3R directly to my CS122 readings. CS122 material is notoriously dense and packed with deep knowledge on embedded systems and operating systems. Our readings are often long chapters, which we have open book online timed quizzes on. To help myself utilize the time limit of each quiz, SQ3R helped me prepare to answer quiz questions before looking at them. Instead of reading blindly, I transformed the technical headings into possible questions that I would expect to see on a quiz. Then, I would read explicitly until I could find the solution to these questions. After, I would speak out loud the answers to lock them into my mind. Finally, I would review each section before starting the quiz. By applying SQ3R this way, it made my reading assignments feel noticeably easier and allowed me to complete the quizzes much more efficiently and accurately within the time limit that I had. When assessing the outcome of this strategy, it was clear to me that it was highly successful in helping me meet my goals. Because I had retained the information faster during the initial reading session, I ended up spending significantly less time completing our weekly open book quizzes. Usually, in an open book setup, it's tempting to rush through the text because you know you can look things up later. But as the research from Rayner et al. Points out, rushing destroys understanding and creates comprehension breakdown. SQ3R forced me to actively engage with the content up front. Because I had already questioned and recited the answers, I actually understood the system layouts, allowing me to breeze through quiz questions without constantly getting lost in the textbook. As a result, I knew where to look for the answers in the textbooks while completing the quiz. Finally, I actually obtained the information after taking the quiz, rather than simply regurgitating and losing the information quickly after. While I successfully used SQ3R to improve my performance on open book quizzes, this strategy can be easily adapted and generalized for different types of students in different testing scenarios. For example, if a student is preparing for a strict closed book exam, they can lean heavily into the recite and review steps, treating their self-generated questions as a built-in practice for long-term retention. Thank you for listening to my presentation on SQ3R. I hope you enjoyed.